Welcome to another episode of Team Anywhere, where CEOs, leaders, and experts at building teams,
companies,
organizations,
and amazing cultures share how to lead from anywhere in the world. I'm your co-host on the East Coast, Ginny Bianco Mathis.
And I'm your co-host on the West Coast, Mitch Simon. And we invite you to join us to Team Anywhere. Imagine you designed a company from the ground up, knowing that you would be 100% remote. What would be the most important thing to do? Design your values that appreciate you're a 100% remote organization and live them fully every single day. That is what John Bernatovicz, founder, and Bridget Klein, director of marketing, do to lead Willory, a leading HR and payroll solutions provider in the Midwest. John has designed a company that measures its success by how people feel every single day. He looks at how he and his cadre of managers makes each employee feel, how each colleague makes the other colleagues feel, and how the purpose of the business makes each employee feel. Through focusing on how people feel and the overall value of generosity, employees can focus, solve problems, and subsequently reach out to help each other when any situation arises. You're going to love John and Bridget and learn a lot about leadership, values, humility, and the tools to run a fully remote company where employees come to work every day excited to interact with their teammates and support the mission. All right, hello and welcome to another episode of Team Anywhere. We are so excited to have from Wilary, the founder of Willory, John Bernatovicz, who is the founder of Willory, and Bridget Klein, who is founder was an easy title, but Bridget's title is enthusiastic, operational cheerleader. And so, John, I'm sorry your title's not that interesting, but just tell us a little bit about the history of Willory and what you guys are doing and where are you located?
Yeah, thanks, Mitch and Ginny and Bridget for joining. I'll say this: I am not a big title guy, so founder felt maybe most appropriate. Although you can call me pretty much anything that you want, because I've done pretty much everything that's happened inside of Willory, from marketing to accounting to payroll to sales to fill in the blank. I guess that's what owners that are sole owners that start companies do. But back in 2010. I founded Willory after a journey, kind of 15-year career journey before that, having worked in the outsourced HR and payroll space. And then I got into executive search. And as it turned out, a lot of the business that I was doing with clients was focused solely in HR and payroll, or focused quite a bit in HR and payroll. And so we did other work at my search firm. But it turned out that there was definitely a unique niche within that human resource and payroll capacity. And so, long story short, my wife had our second child, Willary. I went to work from home for about a month once she acclimated her, Willary, and my wife to having a second child. And I also wanted to make sure my son, Will, did not throw Willary in the trash can, which he threatened to do once or twice before she arrived. And so I worked from home. For that first week, I actually didn't do any work. We just kind of acclimated. Then I got back to working, and I worked from home for a bit, and I found myself to be incredibly productive and enjoying my time. It was a finite time that I'd have because we had a newborn baby at home and a 2-year-old. And from there, I returned back to my kind of partnership relationship in my executive search firm, and I felt a void. I missed things. I missed my family. And then one day I told my wife, I said, I need to do something different. And that something different needs to be me working from home all the time. And her eyes lit up. But then she said, oh my gosh, that means you're going to quit your job or start a new business. And it was right at the tail end of the recession as we look back. So it was a tad bit crazy. But I made a promise to my wife that if it didn't work out in the first 6 months, I'd go back and get a corporate sales gig somewhere that was work from home. That I definitely decided I wanted to do. And so I founded Willory actually on my birthday 10 years ago on October 25th. And we'll be celebrating 10 years coming up here in a few months. It has been a unique and fun-filled ride. I've been blessed to have hired some really great people like Bridget. First two people that we hired in the firm, Jamie Myers and Bob Haas, they're both still with the company. And so we've done something right in serving the HR and payroll community with our search, staff aug, and consulting services. But also, I think primarily why I think I'm a guest or we're a guest on this show is that we do remote work really well. And we do it we do support our clients mostly virtually pre-COVID and obviously all virtually now. And we found a formula I think that really works and has made sense for our clients, for our employees, and for the people that we serve.
Great, thanks, John. So Bridget, what is unique about the culture at Willory, and how are you able to maintain it virtually over the last 10 years?
So I love that question because I think working for Willy is totally like working for any other organization I have ever experienced. When I was looking to make a change, I knew I wanted something work from home, and I didn't do enough research and did not realize that Willy was work from home when I applied. I think that's the first time John has actually heard that statement. But once I heard that, I knew that's what I wanted. Because working remotely, allowing me to really get in and focus when in an environment that is conducive. So you have that piece, and then you have the flexibility. We believe in a family first environment. So that creates a unique culture, but also, before I had my daughter, I was much more of a night owl. And so also when she was a baby, I would be working at 1, 2 a.m. and holding those emails. But it's beyond that. I think we really have taken the time to develop our core values. And by utilizing and believing in those core values, we've created a culture that even when we don't see each other every single day, we know the culture. Seeking to understand is really important. And it becomes even more important when you're in a virtual environment, because we all know how complicated email can be without tone. And so sometimes just understanding where that person is coming from helps immensely kind of before you get into trouble without tone.
Could you share with me, Bridget, what are some of the attributes of the culture that someone who's used to working like in an office that you guys have as part of your core that are kind of, that really engage you as an employee?
I think one of the biggest things that's part of our culture that maybe even isn't stated is a giving attitude. We really it's always an all hands on deck. Like if someone is going through something, it's like, how can I help you? How can I take something off your plate? It's really, truly trying to make everyone successful and what that looks like in terms of ebbs and flows. And then also in a sense that as a team, we have to be open to change because our world is constantly changing pre-COVID, and we don't have those kind of off the cuff hallway conversations for collaboration. So sometimes those changes kind of come in a different way. So just being giving and then open to change as well.
That's great. And then, John, what are some of the ways that you actually do collaborate? Because again, most people are used to collaborating like in a room with other people around. Like, how do you create that sense of collaboration, and does it flow throughout your entire company?
Yeah. So one of the things that we and Bridget maybe left this part out. One of the core values within our firm is greatness through accountability. So we went through the entire kind of journey with emotional intelligence and crucial conversations and crucial accountability. And in order for you to be great at what you do, I think you need to be personally accountable and manage to that yourself, as well as be open to collaboration and communication from peers, colleagues, clients, the owner, founder, in this case. So for the collaboration process that we go through at the firm is we have a lot of forced kind of scheduled brief meetings that are standard across kind of joint departmental meetings. So as an example, Bridget and I just hopped off of a client relations and sales debrief call which we have every Tuesday at 9, and we do some outbound calling, and then we get back together at noon and collaborate on how we did. So we have a lot of, and when I say a lot, probably about 8 to 9 standing weekly calls of things that are really important to the business. So we have a weekly firm-wide meeting Monday mornings. We do a kind of a staffing call, Mondays and Thursdays. So we have kind of on the calendar, you can't kind of get around it. And we have a set agenda and everybody's there, and it's kind of a part of the day and a part of the week. So we're forced to collaborate because the outlook causes us to. And then in addition to that, the business that we're in, we typically, it starts with a marketing campaign and a program and kind of a presence in the community that Bridget drives. And then that leads into a sales opportunity, which our sales team is supporting. And then once we get the client, then it works through our client relations team. And then our staffing partners ended up take some component of that. And then that leads to either a placement or a consulting project. So you could have, 5 different departments intertwined within one project within a week's time. And so the business is innately collaborative, and I am all about communication, about making mistakes, about as Bridget has said, seeking to understand, clarifying points so that you get it right for the client. I'm a big let's not be right, let's get it right. It's really important that we figure things out that are best for the client, and then ultimately then for our employees, and then ultimately best then for the firm. And then last but not least, within the COVID times, pre-COVID, we would have monthly meetings in person. So when I was asked about how do you maintain a culture within a virtual environment, one of the unique parts of that, you still have to get together as people, right? Just not everybody working from home and never interacting with one another. So we forced ourselves every other month to get together for team trainings. And they felt almost like high school reunions. Like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in a while. How are the kids? What's going on? Like a lot of fun loving. And I'd have to corral the group into hey, we actually have to work here today. So we did that. And then when that went away, we have a monthly lunch every second Friday of the month. We have a team lunch where we get on Zoom, and we're not allowed to talk about work. You just talk about what's going on in the world. And then we have every month happy hour about 4:00, a random Thursday of the month, where we again get together. And the coolest part about that is by the end of the call, everybody's ready to roll, but the kids or the spouses end up showing in the back of the Zoom, so the scenery happens. So it's forced collaboration with the scheduled events, and then it's impromptu collaboration throughout the course of business and some of these social hours that we do.
Great.
What kind of tools do you use, if any, for the workflow itself? So you all are on Zoom, you're talking about this account, that account, going over to this group, that group. Where is it in its stages? Tools for that? So
first off, one of the things I'm most proud of, probably one of the best business decisions I made, is that we went to Office 365. We were I think the one of the first 10 clients that the Microsoft partner that we used implemented Microsoft Office 365, and that was, I want to say, 8 years ago. So we've been on that platform for a long time. Our data is all in the cloud, so we collaborate through SharePoint for that. Through Microsoft Office 365. We use all the Office platform tools, Teams, previously Skype, to try to communicate with each other. If we have a larger event where we need something more stable, we'll use Zoom, because we just find it to be a more stable, kind of larger platform for us to use. And then we have our internal applicant tracking system, and CRM is unified. And then Bridget uses a tool called HubSpot for our digital marketing tools, and they all are interconnected with each other. Not perfectly interconnected, because we are a small company, but they're generally interconnected. So the systems help us through that. And I would say probably the main thing, being a technology-based consulting firm, we let the tech drive our process as much as we possibly can.
Right.
What's built within it. Within the applicant tracking system, like their sales process is our sales process. So,
and John, don't forget about Smartsheet. It's our
Smartsheet, yes. Yeah.
yes.
You're probably better to share that. We recently started to use Smartsheet as a kind of virtual project management tool, which has become an exceptional tool for the firm. So
Yeah, and for people
And
who don't
go
know what
ahead.
Smartsheet is, it's kind of a hybrid between um, Trello, Excel, and then it has these great dashboard and reporting capabilities that allow you to really understand the health of a project, where things are status wise without having to, constant update emails. But then it also helps us with kind of performance evaluation and that kind of thing.
Wow, that's excellent. And one more question along that line. So you decide, hey, we're all going to use Smartsheet. How do you introduce that? Everyone just goes on and all right, let me spend a couple of hours with this and learn it, or what?
yeah, no, they don't do that. That would be super great, but unfortunately, it doesn't work out necessarily for us that way. With Smartsheets in particular, we had one of our colleagues, our director of people operations, who found the tool and then started to use it herself. And then actually, Bridget was another early adopter of the technology and started to use it for kind of organizing some of her workflow and projects. And then it became so prominent that it actually ended up, we use it as our performance management tool. So it allows
Fabulous.
us to collaborate across all areas and aggregate data. And then now we use it to kind of do dashboarding for our weekly firm-wide team updates. So what ended up happening was we tested it out. A couple people became champions of it, and then they became the kind of the advocates for the tool. We put a plan to roll it out to the whole firm, and then we've been doing trainings, and then you've been forced to use Smartsheet specifically if you're involved in various projects.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and
Thanks.
that's how a lot of, I think, our technology starts, is it's one person really involved in understanding it, becoming the expert, and then there's a couple more people, and typically on that second level we do project based. So really something
Mhm.
that is going to be implemented and not just, a training exercise, but then something that's real and used and learning from those projects.
Learning by doing. Excellent. Thanks.
Great. I
That's
wanted to
what a
ask,
lot of folks we've been speaking to. Yeah, go ahead, Mitch.
I want to ask a question. When we had our meeting before, you had mentioned something which was really phenomenal. You actually encourage some of your employees to get together, outside of work. And that was just a really interesting idea for me. And I was just wondering if you could share some experiences that your employees have taken to get to actually get together, and then how you as a culture have promoted that.
Yes, I'll take a quick lead on that, and then Bridget can share some of her experience because I know that she has them. So the personal aspect of work to me, as we look at like how are you successful? It's how does a company make you feel, right? How does the employer make you feel? How do your colleagues make you feel? How does your manager make you feel? How does the purpose of the business make you feel? And when it feels like something that matches up with you, then you're going to likely give better service to your clients. You're going to be more productive. You're going to enjoy your work as opposed to when you feel like it's a drag. And we being in the recruiting space, we unfortunately talk to a lot of people that feel like their employer is a drag at the time. That's why they're looking for us to provide that support. And then so the very first intentional way that we did that, Mitch and Ginny, was really around let's go to trade show or association based events together. So this was another kind of unintentional, like really cool thing about the culture. We're all working from home, but can we all go to a SHRM, an HR event together? Maybe four of us go together. We meet at the beginning, say hi, we go do our business as it relates to networking and learning, and then we connect with each other while we're there, whether you sit together or when the event's over. So you get a chance to see each other. Kind of this absence makes the heart grow fonder concept of like I'm going to get small snippets of you, and then what ends up happening is you'll feel, oh, I have a connection with this person because we have an interest. Now,
Right.
Bridget may smile and she can share her stories, but mine is golf. So I love to play golf. So there's a handful of team members that feel comfortable playing golf. So we'll go out occasionally and either play in an event together, or I'll say, hey, on this Friday, is anybody available? We want to go play 9 holes, and we'll just get together. Again, there's very little of any any work talked about. It's just kids, family, what are you doing this weekend type stuff. And from a cultural standpoint, us being family oriented, we are a family. We are the Willory family. So it's not just all about work. So we want to make sure that we get to know each other in a personal manner.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love the heart. The absence makes the heart grow fonder philosophy of culture and leadership. That's a great one. So yeah, Bridget, what are you going to say?
And I think when, anytime you work with people, you get to know them and kind of understand who they are as people. But when you have the opportunity sometimes to maybe be more around their families, you get to know who they are truly as people, what is important to them. And I think any parent, will say that their kids are important, but also like how their parenting style is and how that also in a way shows in their work to me is really fascinating. I know we've talked about that. Our director of operations, Christine, and we live pretty close. I think we're about a 10-minute drive, which is the closest of any of our team members. And we have kids that my daughter is 18 months younger than her youngest. And so there's like an 18-month spread. And, she gives us, hand-me-down clothes all the time. And we'll meet up like, there's been a couple times when the kids are out of school, but we're working where they go, pre-COVID, they go to gymnastics. We sit and have our meeting while they're in gymnastics. And it's a really good way to kind of get that balance out of, people and coworker.
And what we have heard is the virtual environment almost makes folks more focused. So for example, I'm going to be more focused about some outside time with this person I like. I'm going to be more focused during a particular meeting to socialize. Whereas when you're in the office every day and you take that off for granted, that I'll blow off that Thursday birthday party. Right. So a lot of more interaction seems to be happening.
Yeah, no, one thing I'll share to that point, Ginny, it's great, is that we started recently, probably in the last 6 months, when we come to our team meetings to provide our commitment level we have to that meeting. And sometimes that commitment level, you come with baggage, right? You come with issues that are going on at home or in your personal life or that just happened. And we've created a really unique, safe place. There's been a lot of great sharing in that in front of the whole team. Like, hey, I just want to let you guys know that, fill in the blank issues going on at home. And I'm here, I'm committed to the meeting, but I just want you to know if I have to hop off in an hour, that's why. Like I had an example of that. Like we had a team meeting and my wife unfortunately had a really bad migraine and I was supposed to be presenting on a topic. And I said, guys, I got to take the kids to the dermatologist and I don't have a choice, right? My wife's laying in bed. And so I'm committed to the meeting, but I have this distraction and I guess maybe it's easier when I'm the owner. People may not question that as much, but we totally understand. Yeah, we totally understand the uniqueness that happened in life and then within your work, because the most challenging part is your work is your home and your home is your work. In some regards, those lines kind of they blend in all too often, and you do have to. If you're not focused on it, Ginny, you're not going to be productive working from home. You're really not. You're going to be
just explained.
You're going to be distracted by the trash truck coming or the mail guy, or you see the kids walking outside, or I got to do laundry, or you go to have lunch real quick, and the next thing you know, it's 2 hours later, and you're out there mulching your front yard. Like there's a lot of distractions that can come up to it, and if you're not focused on getting your work done, then you've got some unique challenges in a virtual environment being successful.
And that's where the trust and accountability comes in that you mentioned. How did you get turned on to difficult conversations and emotional intelligence and that side of things, which is what I am all about? Did you read, called in a consultant? And how do you bring new people on who may have not been exposed to it yet?
Yeah, no, great question. So I had read and been knowledgeable of EQ through the work that we do in HR. I had not necessarily had as much exposure to the crucial conversation, crucial accountability. One of my dear friends and a consultant for our firm had recommended, based upon some challenges we had within the business that we do kind of a firm-wide kind of read or book club on EQ 2.0, and then also on crucial conversations, crucial accountability. So over about an 18-month period, we did a series of readings, and then a part of the trainings that we did, Ginny, were specifically talking about the book, the chapter in the book. What did we learn? What did we feel? And then we did some role playing, and then we put those actions into those practices and suggestions into actions when we do have conversations. So you'll hear a lot of thank you for sharing within the firm. You'll hear a lot of I'm going to listen. I want to understand where you're coming from. The kind of the self-awareness, relationship management. And then for new people, we have a program that we developed to encourage them to read those books as well. And then they'll work with that consultant directly so that they can become knowledgeable and skilled and use those disciplines in their personal life as well as working at Willory.
Exactly. That's wonderful.
Great. I wanted to ask, you had mentioned a couple minutes ago that one of the qualities that you're looking for in an employee is, being able to not get distracted and mulch their yards. That I was wondering, in this time where you've experienced it for 10 years, what are some of the qualities that you're finding that leaders, need to have, whether they're new qualities or whether they need to dive down deeper? But one would imagine that to be a leader today or manager today, you have to have something that might be a little bit different since you're always leading from, a broadband pipe.
Yeah, sure. Well, first and foremost, to be a leader within a business, in my opinion, whether you're the founder or a director, or you just so happen to be in a production-based role, you got to believe in what it is that the firm or company does, what its purpose is, and the products and services you deliver to the community. If you don't believe that, you're not going to be productive, in my opinion. We've seen it all too often, like in sports, where a player he or she loves to play that sport, but they don't like the team they're on, and then all of a sudden you hear, and suddenly then they're not on the team anymore. For me, as a leader, especially with the COVID scenarios, that I've been working really diligently on clarity and specificity around the clarity of things that we're going to do, which allows us to focus and then allows us to create that commitment that I think we need to be successful. And then I'd say I'm not over communicating, but I've been more so communicating on the status of where the firm is, verbally on our team meetings, and then also in writing to the group. I think I've gotten positive feedback from that. And then we're using data to make decisions. One of the technologies we talked about, Microsoft Office and Smartsheets and our Bullhorn ATS and HubSpot. We also use a tool called Insight Squared that, again, aggregates all that data and shows us how people are doing from an activity perspective, so we can see it real time. So if someone is having a bad week, I can see that by Wednesday and reach out to them and say, hey, what's going on? I see you haven't had as many of your outbound calls, or you haven't had as many of the meetings that you're supposed to have, or your billable hours are down. And we can use that tool to then manage and deal with, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I've got an issue with one of my family members, or my dog's been sick, or I've been trying really hard, but I'm not getting the productivity that I want. So those would be the ways by which I think you manage through that in this day and age, and frankly, going forward.
I think something else that's important as a leader in kind of today's society is to be a creative problem solver. I, for a long time, have followed the adage, don't present a problem unless you have an idea for a solution. And I think that's really important, because otherwise it's pointless criticism. So beyond being creative, problem solving, also being innovative and not always looking at something as the status quo, it really changes a lot of perspective and how you approach situations. And by doing so, you add in a flexibility that I think leaders who are just very regimented don't have.
I see. Great. Thank you. It seems like there's a lot of empathy in your company. You're a family-focused company. It seems like, even the way you were questioning John when someone was falling behind, it was like, hey, is there something going on that that I really need to know of. Are is this a time where leaders need to really learn how to be more empathetic? And if so, like how are you developing the people in your company to be more empathetic?
Yeah, no, I think it's more paramount than ever. I mean, right now we're dealing with many of our employees and staff members considering their options of what to do with their kids when they go back to school, and so we've had intentional communication with them. Uh, Empathy, I believe, is a trait you can learn. And in our core value of seek to understand, that's at kind of the main premise of that. Like, what are you going through? Why is it happening? Before I start to pound the desk and say, you need to make more sales calls,
Right.
let me help understand where you're coming from, because people appreciate that. And a lot of times, if you're not empathetic to how people are feeling, especially under a uniquely stressful situation, which is COVID, balance that with the social injustice and the protesting that's going on, that's been maybe more so politicized than maybe people want to have it be. And then you deal with also then my kids and going back to school and the dynamic of that. Like, there's a lot of moving parts. And oh, by the way, do your job really well, and do it from home without being distracted by all the distractions. Like, you generally have to be like clueless to not realize that there's a lot of moving parts. And how do we maintain productivity with maintaining the balance for our people to have that harmony between working and their personal life? And it's been really, really hard lately. So we've
Mm,
done a lot of listening. We've been empathetic. Luckily for us, we've been performing well. This did not, and we saw a change in our business for sure. But we've been performing okay in the midst of it, and we're fine with that, right? We're fine with that. We're not looking to set like major records in 2020 for our business, and that's kind of a reset for us that I think we had to humbly look at all that was going on.
Great. Bridget, what keeps you at Willory? Because again, I see the banner behind you. Is that a real banner or is that just
It is a real banner.
the real banner?
Um, it is our event backdrop.
Okay.
And so we had planned to unveil an entirely new booth at an event that was scheduled for March 11th through 13th. And so we did not get to unveil that brand new booth. And everything was sitting in my home office. And I kept looking at it and I was just so sad that it didn't get to see the light of day. So I'm like, I'm putting it up. And now it sits here and it's just, it matches my office very well. So I enjoy having it. But to answer the question, what keeps me at Wilary, I think, is the understanding that what I do makes a difference. As an organization, we truly believe in the work that we do in HR and payroll. I do not come from that background, obviously being in marketing, but I believe in how HR professionals can empower the organizations they work for. We all know how important it is to be enthusiastic about where you work, that it changes your entire perspective. We spend at least typically 8 hours a day at work. And if you're unhappy at work, how does that impact the rest of your life? You can't just shut it off. So I believe in what we do. Believe in our purpose to empower people. But then I truly enjoy my coworkers, as I think you guys have caught on, because everyone is just unique in their approach and everyone has these really great stories behind them. And I just, being a team that is small and tight knit, we're able to get to know people really well. So there's, the environment in which I work, so the people and the jobs that we're doing. And then I think also the opportunity to try different things and grow, occasionally fail and skin my knee, but, knowing that I have kind of the support of our team in trying new initiatives is really important.
We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors: Marymount University, Arlington, Virginia, School of Business and Technology, innovative solutions upskilling for the what's next economy at marymount.edu, and Oyster Organizational Development, dedicated to higher performance, business success, and leveraging teams. They can be found at oysterod.com. And finally, WeJungo, designing customized talent acquisition solutions at WeJungo.com. John, you have so much experience in running a virtual company for 10 years. You might consider writing a book.
Yeah. Funny you might say that, Mitch. Yeah.
I just thought, I might say that, John.
Yeah. So turns out, actually, I'm writing 2 books. I have Bridget to give credit to both of that. So this is my journey on the book and where we're going with it. So regretfully, my dad passed away March of this year. And whenever you lose someone as important as he was in my life, especially from a business and golf perspective, my dad had a major influence on my professional business career. You kind of reconcile, okay, what have I done in my life that I'm proud of? What could I be doing better, differently? And then what did I not do that I wanted to do? And the book was the number one thing on my list professionally that I had not done, that I aspired to do. Bridget had encouraged me a few times to do it, and I would make every excuse in the book to not. So I said, I'm not going to make the excuse. And so we started writing. I started writing a book called I Got It All Wrong, which was about business success and failure, like what I thought business success was before I started a company, and now what I view business success to be. They are categorically different. And my guess is I'm not the only one that feels that way. And then in that book, the thought of working in a traditional corporate brick and mortar office setting, and how transitioning over the last 10 years into being 100% virtual office, and what I thought business was supposed to be, and I'd be so proud to have a building with Willary's name on it and have a corner office with my name on it, and I don't want any of those things. So I started that journey, and I'm maybe about 10 or 15% of the way there. And then I get this epiphany of our 10th anniversary is coming up in October. And I've been doing this presentation for the HR community called HR Like a Boss. So it's about just being an awesome HR professional, really being a business person first that just so happens to practice human resources. And it's about thinking different, being different, and taking action. And so I had this idea that maybe I should be writing that book first that aligns with our 10-year anniversary. And I gave that idea to Bridget, and she's like, yes, please, can we do that? So I'm simultaneously writing 2 books, hoping to have obviously the one done by end of October. And then I Got It All Wrong. I'm hoping to have done by the beginning of 2021. So that I went from writing no books to writing 2 books, and I have a third one in my mind that I want to do next. Which is
there's no crazy. Stopping you.
I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I'm just like somewhat. There's something wrong with me. I think that's what I keep telling myself.
And about your own leadership journey, right? I think writing these books are probably solidifying yourself, the self-reflection about here's what I stand for. And here's what I can share and teach others. Mitch knows that my definition, or one piece of being a leader, I believe, is being a teacher. And sounds like that's what you're doing right now.
I guess it's maybe humility or embarrassment, or I don't know what. Like I feel generally confident in myself and what we're doing. We've done some pretty cool things at Willory, but I just, outside of the semblance of my little ecosystem, does anybody else really care? That's how I look at it. And I've been pushed to say, well, just put it out there and then see what I'm a big believer in the market. The market will tell me how good of an idea the book was, because if it sells 10, then it was a good idea to get it off my chest. If I sell 1 million, then, oh my gosh, somebody really likes this idea and there's something here to it. So
fabulous.
I wanted to ask 2 last questions. And I'll ask Bridget first, then we'll end with John. Yes, you've been virtual for the last 10 years. And we've been in a pandemic for the last, let's say, 4 or 5 months. Where have you grown most, in your leadership over the last 4 or 5 months as we're going through social unrest and health pandemics and a lot of fear. Where have you been contemplating, and where have you grown the most over the last few months at Willory?
I think one of my areas for growth has been probably developed over the last few years is kind of that business background. I am infamously bad with numbers and math. And, over the last 2 years or so, really kind of dedicated to those numbers and looking at how all these different things fit together from a business perspective and making decisions based on that, as opposed to just, I really like this person, let's not impact their lives. So that's one area. And then also taking what I know is going on in the world and where we maybe need to position ourselves on a conversation. Whereas before I would have been quiet, like maybe we don't say anything, let's just not ruffle any feathers. Finding that balance between what is going on in the world, where we need to say something, and sometimes where we don't need to say something, but also let's not be the last person to say something.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Bridget. And John?
Yeah, I'd say for me, most specifically, has just been around clarity, right? Clarity as when I started the firm back, 10 years ago, and kind of right around this time, 10 years ago, I had this idea in my head, and I just so happened to join my two kids' names together. That came Will and Mallory became Wilary, which was a really cool, like at the moment, like that seems neat. And then the marketing consultant we hired was like, "You have any names?" And I rattled the names off, and like, that's it, right? That's the one. And so it's in that family first whole concept, and who doesn't like two cute little kids
Right.
in that? But it was just me. So like I would sell the deal, I would go and consult on the project, I would send out the invoice, I would be the AP manager, I would open the door and close the door, turn the lights on, computer IT person. And as the business grew, right, I still managed myself in the business in that way. Like, okay, I'm just doing all this stuff. You all will figure it out and come along. Luckily, I hired some people that were generally flexible and thought that I wasn't as kind of out of my mind as maybe if you look back I might have been. But the fact that the more that we grow and the more complex our business gets with either more people or new clients or new services, that clarity on like, what are we trying to do? Our purpose is to empower people, right? That's what we're trying to do, and everything that we're trying to do. And you as an employee, we want to keep to those core values of greatness through accountability and live by the golden rule and seek to understand and do things with enthusiasm. But at the same time, we want, if you think of it simply, and I just want to make an impact. What kind of impact are you making on people? And so if I'm, that's all I just said is it sounds simple, but it's a lot when you get 10, 12, 20, 40 people into a business. So for me as the owner, creating that clarity and kind of mission critical is what we're doing right now, empowering people. Is it serving our purpose? Is it good for our employees? Is it good for our clients? Is it good for the firm? And if we can answer yes to all four of those things, we're more than likely going to find a way to do it. If not, we're going to it might get tabled for another time.
Great. Well, I really want to thank you, Bridget and John, for this time together. I really am stepping away from understanding that the way a company really works virtually is staying really clear on their mission and making sure that it runs through every aspect of every interaction, every conversation that you guys have. So thank you again for helping us with another episode of Team Anywhere, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.